This is the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz podcast.
We are presented by DraftKings Sportsbook, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app today and use code Dan for a special offer when you sign up. That's code Dan, only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
Dan, we have some
big news,
potentially interesting developments here on a Wednesday. As you know, we have been trying to get Bacardi 151 Wednesdays off the ground.
Except they told us that they don't do 151.
So 151 doesn't exist anymore. Yeah. So, Spiced Rum Wednesdays was floated.
Yeah.
Spicy Wednesdays.
Spicy Wednesdays, yeah, it was floated.
So, it was floated, and this last week, as part of our batch of ad reads, we got an ad read for Bacardi Spiced Rum. However, we have not been officially told
that Wednesday's their
that
day.
it's Bacardi Spiced Rum Wednesday. And we don't want to give this to them unless, it's been agreed to, signed, sealed, and delivered.
So we're saying that it's the case so that now they have to sponsor Wednesday.
I don't know. Like, are we giving them free added value by just chucking in that it's Spiced Rum Wednesday?
Well, who's reading the spot?
Well, I gave it to Billy. I was so excited.
I was too. It's the most exciting. I don't know. I sent you the read, Dan. It's an energy that I've never had in any read I've done ever before in my entire life.
I'd like to hear this for a number of reasons, but I have thought and tried to have Bacardi be a part of what it is that we're doing since we've almost started. I think I went to a meeting at Bacardi with you like 15 years ago.
It's the only sales meeting you've ever been to with me. It was at the Bacardi. We had lunch there. They were serving us drinks. It was before the show. We were on in afternoons at that point, but it was their offices down in Miami somewhere. And yeah, we had a very nice lunch, and I thought we were going to get Bacardi on the air.
The Jewel Box?
Not the Jewel Box.
They have this beautiful place where they have lunch and drinks all the time at Bacardi, and that's where they took me, Dan, and I think it was Mark Hochman at the time. We had a fantastic lunch. Did you have a drink? I remember you being hammered.
Are you really asking me whether I had a drink 15 years ago?
It wasn't a great show afterwards. I just remember.
I had a meeting in Bacardi. You're just...
I thought we had these guys wrapped up. It turns out they wanted a live show. That's really all they wanted, and did I deliver?
So here's kind of the question. It sounds like Bacardi has been the show's white whale for some time, but here's kind of the question, right? Since we don't know if Bacardi is going to sponsor a day of the week, which is a strange sentence, but if we don't know that they're spicing or sponsoring today to be extra spicy, do we turn down our spice level or turn up our spice level?
I don't think
say,
that.
Hey,
good question.
No, it's not a good question. It's not a good question.
Well, because if they haven't, look, here's the thing, right? Here's the thing about Spicy Wednesday. If Bacardi hasn't locked in Spicy Wednesday, I know another company that makes spices and that makes sazon completa that could be sponsoring Spicy Wednesday.
That's another one I've wanted.
Badia.
I've wanted Badia. I've wanted Sedano's. I've wanted the people in this market that are tied to this community.
It's visible?
That is not what
Visible already got prime real estate.
Oh,
Greg's
really?
Lobos, yeah.
Right.
We are not Bacardi dependent on what our level of spice is on Wednesdays. Jessica won't have it. Jessica brings in her own measure of spice when she comes in.
What's that supposed to mean?
Yeah.
I
You
thought
think
it was.
because I'm a white lady, I don't like spicy food? I'll have you know that I do actually like spicy food, even when it upsets my tummy.
My tummy always gets upset with spicy food. I can't eat anything over like
What about
mild.
spiced rum?
Wait, so you know the result. You know what spicy food's going to do to you, and you still eat it because you enjoy it
Sometimes.
that much?
Yeah, sometimes
really?
I have
It's the
to.
same with me with ice cream.
It's a measured
Yeah.
result. I say,
cigarettes.
You know what? This is going to hurt so much more coming out than it is going in. Is it worth it? And like,
Yes.
For a long time, like 9 times out of 10, the answer was yes. I need to do this anyways. You know the one that always got to me, should I say it? What difference does it make? Who cares? I used to get in the supermarket. I would go and I would get the frozen boneless buffalo wings from Chili's or Fridays or one of those that they sell like prepackaged. And then they just have like this whole bag of like the spicy sauce. And you go and you cut it and like theoretically, the less you put in, the least spicy it would be, right? But I was like, what am I going to do with this bag after I eat this, right? I'm not going to throw it away. It's just wasteful. So I'd put the whole thing in there, and then you have to like put it in like 2 bowls and just like shake it up and like, to make sure that you get the sauce all over everything. Oh, it was so hot going in my mouth, and I loved it every time. But I knew within like 45 minutes, it was going to be a bad scene.
It has horse preservatives in there. Like, in order to keep that sauce relatively fresh in a frozen package, I mean, that has enough preservatives to like give you cancer.
Jeez, I mean, that's slanderous. It's good enough for a horse. It's good enough for me. That's what I always say.
Exactly.
And cigarettes?
What do you mean? I know they're not good for me, but I keep lighting them up. They do help me poop. It's like coffee. I mean, listen, I have an admission to make. Did you see me in the garage this morning, Whittingham?
No, I did not.
Oh, it was Billy?
I did, yeah.
Billy, why does he have a giant smile on his face? You were photographed in the wild, like crossing an intersection a couple of days ago with a heater, a stick hanging out of your mouth.
A dart.
Somebody just put somebody. I don't know where you were. You weren't in Miami. You were just walking across.
I think
the
it was
street,
Canton, Ohio.
And you were. I don't think it was. I think it was.
Just looked like a public shopping center.
Really?
He wouldn't have been smoking inside. He was at an intersection. And he's walking around tucked under the baseball cap, looking the same way he does every day, except with a giant fresh stick hanging out of his mouth. Somebody leaned out of their car, leaned out of their window, and had enough time, right? Because you got to get your camera. That doesn't happen instantaneously. Had enough time to see Stugotz waddle across the street with a stick in his mouth and catch him as he walked by the window of his car.
A stick.
I thought you quit. What happened? I thought you quit.
We're getting there.
No, I thought you quit. And then in the McDaniel interview, I see that one of your fingers is yellow.
Quitters never win. Winners never quit, Dan.
That was quite something. It was like, I remember seeing that in real time.
So bad.
I saw in real time, like, is that the lighting or is there something on Stugotz's fingers? And I knew that the audience was not going to let that one slip.
Oh, those orange golf grips I keep
away.
using. Yeah. I got to ditch those things. I mean, I do. What
happened in the garage?
Well, in the garage, I saw you, and I was filled with shame. I thought it was Whittingham. For some reason, I can't smoke in front of Whittingham. He's judging me. I'm telling you, I know he is. It's like my parents, okay? He's judging me. He's castigating me. He's wagging a finger at me. So whenever I see Whittingham in the garage and I'm having a heater, I either try to hide it or I put it out. I mean, that's what I did.
Well, you were
and then
this
I light
morning.
Another one when he leaves.
It was weird. Before Jessica got here, she didn't see this. You come in here and you're muttering. There's nothing worse than getting soap in your eye in the morning. And Whittingham explained to Stugotz, your drive's an hour and a half. Were you shampooing in the car?
Or that must have been one hell of a shampoo burn. If an hour and a half later you still feel it.
It was. Listen, if you get it in a certain part of your eye, like the inner corner, it stays there for days. It does.
That's not true.
I'm telling you.
He's right.
Thank
He's
you.
right.
Thank you.
No, he is right.
Yeah.
He's right.
Yeah. Stings all day, right?
You, I'm assuming, have the shampoo
corner.
conditioner combo thing, right? Like the 2-in-1.
I don't know.
Probably a 3-in-1 body wash.
I don't know.
Oh, that's like the gym special, right? You guys ever shower at the gym where it's just like a mystery tub of like clear blue liquid, and you're like, I don't know where this goes, but I'm gonna wash everything with it.
I think I'm gonna go the rest of my life without ever showering in public. Like
it's not on display. You're not in a glass
I mean,
case.
like, just
people watching.
I know, but like, there's a curtain or whatever. Like, where people shower in a there's multiple. I don't think I will ever do that.
Well, you just did it in an airport recently.
I know, but that's a private room, right? Like, you're paying for a private space.
Yeah.
So, like, you're in your own space. I mean, like, you walk down the hall, you're wrapped in a
communal,
towel.
yeah,
There's
sharing.
a guy who's doing the flossing thing, going back and forth.
That's not real.
Like,
That is
What is
real.
he, Mr. Krabs?
No, it is real. It is real. That's a real thing. It's a real thing. The guy who's too comfortable in the
I'm just
gym.
imagining old man ballsack. That's what
prison
I'm
shower?
imagining.
Well, what's wrong with that? You're gonna have one day.
Yeah, and I don't wanna
Presumably, you have
show
a
it to
ball sack. I
anybody.
think.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Witty, there is nobody doing a gooch floss in the middle of the gym. Can you please stop that? That tells me you've never been to a gym locker room.
Right, precisely.
Wait, you've never been to a gym locker room?
I mean, like, not since high school.
Hold on a second. Walk us through what you think goes on in a gym locker room.
I've just heard all these stories about old men that are very comfortable with their nudity, walking around
That's
and
more like a
and wrapped in
spa
a towel,
thing.
and then they change, and then they're fully new.
No.
Like that happens. There's old guys with dicks hanging out. Like, that's what it is.
Not all the time. It's not always going to be old dicks. I mean, look, 90% of what you're going to see is people taking selfies for Instagram.
Spicy Wednesdays brought to you possibly by Bacardi.
In the future, maybe.
Possibly. I think
Or
you should.
Gonna like this.
But yeah.
I heard that yesterday's ads went very well with the sponsors, so.
Yes, I was reliably informed that Visible loved what happened with Greg's Lobos.
Oh, but this has been so frustrating to me. If we're going to talk about old meetings, I mean, the only sales radio meeting that I've been in was about 20 years ago at Presidential Circle with Stugotz. But I've been trying to get people to do ads like that for 20 years. ESPN wouldn't let me. 790 wouldn't let me. Nobody's let me because the sponsors always want their bullet points. And I'm always explaining. I'll never get this, Stugotz. You'll have to explain it to me as a veteran of radio that the sponsor wants the bullet points so much, and I'm consistently saying, do you understand if you make the reads all the same, people are going to just shut off their minds when the reads are always the same. If you make content around the reads and you don't have to say the bullet points, it's a better way of advertising. And 20 years, like, totally ignored. Can't get anyone to budge a syllable on that stuff. Corporate people and executives always want the same shit the same way. And it must be because it works. It must be. It has to be.
Well, I can tell you this, that if you can get directly to the client, you have a better, and get to their marketing people, you'll have a better chance of succeeding on that front. But most of the time, these clients, the advertisers, they work with an agency, and you speak to the agency, and the agency just wants the spots and dots. That's all they want. They don't care about programming around the spots. They don't care about your idea. It's how many spots can I get for my dollar? And that's all they want. That's
What's
all they
the
care
dots
about.
and the spots and dots? Because I like it. I don't know what it is.
Spots, dots, give me a little billboard here, presenting sponsorship there,
That's
added
a dot?
value. Yeah.
We should put out a billboard.
Ooh, what would we do on it?
We should put all of our little faces on it. Like the
Interesting,
YouTube channel.
Jessica, that he mentioned one kind of billboards and you put your face on one in the street.
All
Like,
of ours.
that's not the same billboard, though. He's not talking about the
transition
same
there.
thing
Little
that you are.
5-10-second billboard transition.
He's using a radio term. You've got our faces up on the side of the street so that
I'm
people
just
can see it
thinking
when
of
they drive
ways.
by.
I'm thinking of ways to get our show out there, outside of people who like sports, because we've been talking about things outside of sports lately. We can appeal to a mass audience. We've been talking about Spicy Wednesday, Billy having a trip to Tummy Ache City.
Yeah.
We need to appeal to all audiences. We need to put out a billboard.
I have an idea because before the show, Witty came up with this idea. He has this weird thing with small rooms. It's odd going on. But he had this idea where he wanted to turn baseball stadiums into brothels, where he minimizes the capacity.
Wow.
He minimizes the
Can't be
capacity.
Whittingham's idea.
No, it 100% was. Lewis and Tony were
Interesting
here.
third inning.
They can tell you.
Wait,
This is,
once
is-
you've notarized it with Lewis
well,
and
I'm
Tony,
just,
then
there's
of
the only
course
people
it's
that were
true.
in the room. They were the only. Look, here's what happened. Okay,
Lewis and Tony were there.
they're the only people that were in the room. I can't choose my witnesses.
Testigos falsos.
I would believe it more. You'd have more credibility if Lewis and Tony weren't in the room.
Okay, let me tell you what happened. Okay, so a couple weeks ago, there was some funny business going on in the Oakland Coliseum during an A's game in the upper deck.
Did
right?
you guys know that came with a 6-month prison penalty? Did you guys know that's got
No.
I don't even know what we're talking about.
there was sex at the Oakland Coliseum.
Well, and last night there was sex.
Okay.
There was sex in the stands of the Toronto Blue Jays game. They tried to separate themselves by a degree of like 15 rows, and these two people just going at it, plain public.
Yeah. So Witty said there's not that many people that go to Blue Jays games. What they should do is they should limit the capacity to 1,500 in like a certain section, and then they should sell off private rooms to people. And we're like, so you want them to turn stadiums into brothels? And he's like, no.
No,
Just rooms you can do whatever you want in.
The Oakland A's should lean into the fact that nobody goes to their games. Their attendance is, I believe, for an A's-Marlins game this year, they had something announced. No, Samson has told us they can fudge those numbers. But, like, they announced 2,600 people for a Major League Baseball game between the A's and the Marlins. They should just lean into it and turn the stadium, the real estate into the stadium, into a series of private areas so people could just have a night out.
not only are they not leaning into it, I read earlier this season that they are being vigilant about not letting people move up in their seats when they buy cheaper seats, even though there are 2,600 people in the ballpark. You're not allowed to go and move seats. They protect their sections because they have to protect their price points.
The season ticket holders get really mad about that. Like I was a season ticket holder for a season. And that was like a thing in the meeting. Like they were really mad. It was like a welcome to the thing, and they're like, "We pay so much for these tickets, and people are just sneaking into our section." It's like, guys, like, come on. What do you want this to look like?
You could have done the same thing.
But that's a fair point. Like,
buy cheaper season tickets.
Right.
Why would you? And we can ask Samson this. Why would you ever have been a Marlins season ticket holder when they just give away tickets all the time? Like, I remember I used to go to like 10 games a year because I would be caller 7 to the ticket contest line. And I would just go and I would get free tickets. Like, I didn't like that. And so, like, why would you ever buy season tickets if there is no value to purchasing you're not going to resell them ever? Like, in what universe are you making money on your Marlins tickets? Like, I could see no value in buying tickets in a scenario in which you're just letting people up to the front all the time.
The Ticket 7 game.
It was such bullshit.
I mean, it was definitely a moral conundrum of mine early on in my interning career.
What happened?
Well, I would see how, the hot dog was made sometimes, where it was like, today's a busy day. First person, just tell them they're caller 7 and they won.
I taught
and
you
I was
that,
like, I don't like this. I don't feel good about this. I don't like what's going on. I would always make Stevie, the other intern, do it. I was like, I can't, Stevie, I can't participate in this.
Thought you were gonna
fraud.
get sued.
I just didn't feel morally right.
It feels like a crime. Like
does.
radio has all sorts of rules for that stuff, and I don't think
I didn't like it.
I don't think it's allowed. I think you could get into trouble. I'm assuming the statute of limitations has run out on that stuff, but there are restrictions and rules on those
You say
things.
that until you try to talk to Billy about something on air, and he's on to caller 5 rather than listening to you. And then you explode, you get upset, and Billy's trying to get to caller 7. I used to tell Billy, listen, caller 1 is caller 7, all right?
Yeah.
Listen,
There
you want to
has
sue
to be
me?
something
Go
regulating
ahead,
this.
all right?
There has to be something regulating this. I remember back in the day when you guys were on the air and during the first LeBron Heat run in the playoffs, you gave away tickets to a conference finals game. And because of the nature of the promotion, you guys did caller 79.
I hated that. There was always funny business, and you guys would do that. And because I didn't want to participate in this fraud, I would go one by one. And the thing is when I would pick up the call, I couldn't just be like, call 1, call 2, bye. Like, I would be like, hey, what's your name? Oh, sorry, your caller. And it would turn into like 30-minute conversations with each caller. And then 2 hours later, we're giving away the next set of tickets, and I haven't gotten to 79 yet because everyone on the phone is like, oh, are you sure? And I'm like, no, it's okay. Like, how's your day going? Sorry, blah, blah. And it always turned into like these mini conversations with people because I couldn't just do, hey, you're caller 1, and hang up. Oh, caller 2, hang up. And caller 3, hang up. By the way, also, you'd be shocked to find out that this descarado over there in the corner, Tony, said that he spent an entire 4-hour radio show telling everybody that they didn't win for no reason other than he was bored.
I was working at 560 as a producer, and I was doing the Alex Dono show, and it was from 6 to 10 at night, and it was like a July giveaway of like, I don't know, some BS thing, right? And it was like, all right, Donald's like, all right, caller number 10 to the 560 hotline, blah, blah, blah. So what I did is from 6 to 10 at night, every time somebody called, because it used to be like a weird phone, like by itself. No, hold on. There's a charm to
contest
this.
line.
Yes,
Yes.
the contest line, right?
Yeah.
A phone by itself in a
Yes.
corner.
It was a sad phone. It almost had like a rotary dial.
So what did you do?
Yeah, Bill Lawrence.
So I would answer the phone and be like, nope, sorry, didn't win. So I went the entire
Wait, it
time.
wasn't an iPhone?
No, it wasn't an iPhone.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Not a cord, you said?
It had a long cord. I would walk around the studio with it. But I just went the entire show, 4 hours, just telling everybody they didn't win and nobody won that day.
When I was doing it, I just picked up the phone and said, 1, hang up, 2,
I
hang up,
couldn't do
3,
that. I
hang
couldn't
up.
do that. By the way, Dan, also
Roy was great at it, by the way. He's right. He's one of the all-time greats at it.
I
At a
couldn't-
promotion, he's fantastic.
I couldn't do
Thank you,
it.
Stugotz.
The best part of
Beast was second.
the best part of any radio station was where they kept the prizes because you'd see who wouldn't think that the drive was worth coming in to pick up the prize that they had won. And then after like a certain number of days, if you got in good with Maribel at the front desk, she would be like, you know what? Time has passed. And I had my eye on a Giancarlo Stanton signed baseball in there that was there for months and months and months, and I couldn't bring myself to it because I'm like, one day someone's going to pick up that ball that they won.
getting back to where it is that we were, because it can take a circuitous route on Spicy Wednesdays when Billy is doing the yammering and insisting on throwing it into a corner where Tony can retell the story that Billy had already said much more shortly. And whenever I say that in our history,
shocking,
that Billy was more efficient with a story, told us what the story was, told us the details of the story, then went to Tony, who told it 7 times longer with no completion or ending. It's tying it back to what it is that we were talking about before. Are there consensus foods that you will risk or be at the top of the food chain on? I will take sickness. I will take my chances with sickness each time. Is spicy food the consensus? Is there something higher than that you know you're going to feel bad? And do a lot of people have a lot of different answers, or is there like a couple of consensus things that it's ice cream, I'll take whatever the lactose problems are, or spices? Spices are always one of the things.
I would definitely say lactose is no doubt number one for me, because there are a number of people, like my dad will just like, yeah, I know he's lactose intolerant. We'll just completely mess up his day because I really want to eat that piece of pizza or taco with cheese or whatever. Like anything that has dairy will f him up, and he goes for it anyway.
But I've never heard of pizza being a thing like this. Like, yes, there's lactose stuff for everybody on the dairy, but not like spicy food where you're like,
no, that's the grease, Dan. The grease will. Ooh.
Hold on. If you get like buffalo chicken pizza or like barbecue chicken pizza, ooh, that will get you, because they have the like spice like baked into it instead of like the marinara sauce. Oh man, that will take you to tummy ache city if you're,
But so spicy food doesn't really do, like, for me, it's fine. I like spicy food. My stomach doesn't get upset. It's ice cream. Like, I know 12 hours after I eat ice cream, it's going to be a bad couple of hours, and I still go forward with the ice cream.
You can probably just
I have to have it.
You could take some kind of lactose.
Lactate.
Lactate or something.
I have a friend who always keeps lactate on her, and sometimes she'll I'll go out to dinner, and she'll be like, oh, I want to eat that, and like her other friend will bring it just to give it to her.
Cheating.
I mean, listen, part of eating, I don't feel like I'm eating ice cream unless I get a stomach ache 12 hours later.
Oh my God.
I'm surprised you guys have the ability to isolate this stuff. Like, that this thing every time gives me a tummy ache. The only thing that I know that for certain in my life is hibachi food. 100% of the time that I go to Benihana, I know within an hour it's going to be a bad scene.
Wait a minute.
And I go for it anyway.
I was going to say, you've told the story how you used to go regularly to eat lunch by yourself, like at a Benihana, and you knew that, like, one, you're there by yourself, which is kind of sad, but you knew that was also going to lead to, like, a bad stomach situation. You'd do it anyway?
It's delicious. I can't help myself. Is that another fine, Dan?
Yeah, I owe 10 from yesterday, so I'm in for 15 here.
Speaking of fines, Dan, the lewd acts, it's up to 6 months in prison and $1,000 fine if it's like prosecuted. They're probably not. Like, that's probably not going to happen.
Still, I didn't know that was one of the risks. Put these on the poll, please, at Batard Show, Billy. Did you know one of the risks of having sex at the ballpark was 6 months in prison? And do you have a friend who carries lactate around?
Don Batard.
Marty Schottenheimer passed away.
Stugotz.
Why do you sound so happy? How did you say that?
Yeah, you're very excited.
That was wrong tone.
I was not excited.
Unbelievable.
I was merely pointing out that a Browns legend had passed away.
Hold on. That was
Hey guys, Marty Schottenheimer died.
Hold on.
And maybe the greatest coach to never win a Super Bowl.
Okay, wait a minute. Let's just settle down. Let's all settle down.
Do you hear?
This is the Dan Batard Show with the Stugotz.
The reason my phone went off is because I wanted to get to a couple of things here because I have my remorse about how yesterday escalated. So about 10 days ago, I was bold and brave enough for the first time in 20 years to say that I had hope about this Dolphin season. And of course, yesterday, Stugotz and Greg Cody take it to the maximum place of they're going to win the Super Bowl. So I can't. I'm showing restraint and trying to show nuance, trying to create enthusiasm. And both Cody and Stugotz are all in immediately 2 weeks before the season. Haven't seen much of anything.
Max enthusiasm.
Yes, just they're going to win the Super Bowl. And I can't even. There's no place for any unless you want to go undefeated. There's no place to go after that.
But that's why your phone went off?
Yeah.
Because I have to get to a couple of stories here. I'm not the only one saying this. Now everyone's saying it.
Dan, I'd like to tell you that because you just said that you wanted to show restraint. I showed restraint yesterday, and I'd like to make you proud because you, I think that kind of things are going a little crazy with sales. We had a company reach out yesterday saying that they wanted to sponsor you doing Dolphins schedule one game at a time. And we're like, I don't think that's going to happen. I was like, I don't think we can sell that. I'm sorry.
I don't like you having your fingerprints in sales because I don't believe that's someone else who came up with that idea.
Someone has to make money around here. You know what I mean?
These are a couple of the things that are making this is, man, the Dolphins are the Browns of the last couple of years. They are team curiosity. They are team chaos. So you've got Pro Football Focus writing the following. Tyreek Hill joined forces with the player closest to his unique blend of speed and twitch in the open field, Jalen Waddle. Opposing defenses are going to have to grapple with the best way to mitigate risk and limit the damage caused by that duo. I like having twitch in the open field. I have not seen that as an adjective before. And then Dan Orlovsky says, this roster, if Tua takes the step forward, which I think he will, is a team that will compete for championships. They are a sleeper when it comes to an AFC championship run. I don't think they're allowed to be a sleeper anymore when everyone's calling them a sleeper. Put it on the poll, Guillermo, at Le Batard Show. Are you a sleeper when everyone is saying you're a possible sleeper?
Dan, how annoyed are you that people are invading your corner? Because this was something, you've been doing this for a month now, where it's like, I'm really excited about this Dolphin season. Like, you presented yourself, because I think you have demonstrated a great deal of restraint when it comes to the Dolphins. You have been often accused of being the urinator when it comes to the Dolphins, despite the fact you've been right every step of the way for the entire time that we've been doing this show. The one year that you come in and are like, hey, I'm excited for this. This is fun, enthusiasm, winning, and then you've been usurped with
I've been
winning
overrun by the
you
machine.
thought you were like the whole
corner's been
milk.
invaded.
You were the lactate.
You can look at it like you started it. You were the guy that got everyone going, got everyone excited. I
believe Tyreek Hill did that. Or McDaniel. I will sign up for the idea of Parcells and Saban not being able to do what the new nerd that nobody wanted to interview did. And he is part of this because I don't think it's just Mike Wallace came here. Tony Martin came here. They've had deep threats and they whittle away so much that Whittingham has been betrayed by 20 years of Dolphin failure and doesn't trust anybody to be a deep threat. And this guy comes in and he could get swallowed by that. And the reason we don't think he will be is the coach. Is space. It's because the coach is telling you, trade for that. I want that. You know why I want that? Because what the Dolphins are going to be is space, twitch, excitement. And I'm real curious to see because we just recently lived what was the Browns of Baker Mayfield. They traded for Odell Beckham, best receiver in the league. Oh my God, what's that going to look like? Expectations got there, pressure got there, and now everyone's gone. Jarvis Landry is playing for one year in New Orleans. Odell Beckham is hurt, champion and was in Los Angeles, and Baker Mayfield is the Carolina quarterback. And the expectations on a new coach and new quarterback, I can't know what that feels like, Stugotz, right? I've always dismissed and poo-pooed that stuff, the ancillary, intangible stuff of what is it like to play with huge expectations and with lesser expectations. But the expectations are now here. Tyreek Hill has brought them. And the leaders of this team are not people who have dealt with those before on a professional level. Tua did it in college, and you saw everyone is hopeful because Tua comes in college. We don't know who that is. Championships at stake. What do you mean he's throwing a perfect pass to win the championship in his first appearance?
Jalen Waddle also did it in college. I mean, McDaniel did it with San Francisco. There were expectations.
You believe this Dolphin team and its management is prepared for enormous expectations because of all the experience they've had with expectations?
No, I'm just saying there are certain guys who have dealt throughout their careers, young, some of them in college, that have dealt with expectations before. Are they ready for it? I mean, it's hard to tell if people are ready for it. I think they're talented enough, and that's all that really matters.
I think people are talking about this team so much. The reason is because we have no idea what this is going to look like. We don't know what the quarterback is. We've seen what we don't know whether Tyreek Hill is going to translate. And this coach, it presumes a great deal to think given what you're watching with Matt Patricia and Charlie Weiss and Romeo Crennel and every guy that stepped away from Bill Belichick. It seems foolhardy to think that the guy next to Kyle Shanahan would be able to bring that thing only Kyle Shanahan does when everyone in the league is trying to recreate the thing that Kyle Shanahan does.
Do you think some of this could be like long play by like the media and like shows? Like, this is what we do. We build up expectations. We're looking at their schedule. I know you don't want to do schedule talk. It's very possible that they're 1-3 after the first 4 games.
They could be.
They win the Patriots, lose Ravens, lose Bills, lose Bengals, and then the narrative turns to, is it time to panic? Is Tua done? Is it McDaniel a fraud? And then you kind of have set up this ridiculous expectation just so that if it doesn't play out really early on, then you have a storyline for the rest of the season.
That is the spot. Yes, we need our narratives to carry us from Sunday to Sunday, and all the television companies are in on telling you those stories to keep this sport America's biggest.
Some of the expectation, though, is on Mike McDaniel. It's what I like about him because he's not afraid. He doesn't shy away from them. He's telling you, he told us, Tua's the most accurate quarterback he's ever seen. Tyreek Hill, I wanted to give my entire team up to get him. Like, he is setting the expectations very high for his own team.
When you say he seems not to mind, it's so goddamn easy not to mind before you've played. Go ahead and make it 1-3 now, and this is when I'm asking you about, hey, how do you feel about this team dealing with expectations, with doubt? Because make it 1-3 and now talk to me about everyone talking about the Dolphins. How good does it feel then when you're turning on your television and every sports team, every sports talker is telling you what a disappointment the Dolphins already are?
You get the Jets, though, after that.
Well, so weeks 5 through 12, they have the easiest schedule in the NFL. So, like, it's set up perfectly for a roller coaster ride. It's very high now, and then there's a 1-3 drop, and you're like, what's going on? And then 5 through 12, they pick up the pace, and then it's like, oh, you know what? They've turned it around.
It's just so wild to me, the stuff that doesn't get talked about, though. This week, the Dolphins announced that Byron Jones will miss the first 4 weeks of the season because he is on the physically unable to
and he's been
perform
great
list with an injury. In some ways, the entire structure of their defense is built around having 2 elite corners that allow your defense to play a different style of game on the basis of the fact you have both sides of the perimeter locked down. When you replace him with presumably Noah Igbenogany, who's been a draft bust for the Dolphins, a first-round pick, like, I don't know who they're going to put in that outside position. I haven't been following it closely enough, but there's going to be a considerable drop-off. And if the Dolphins' pass defense isn't as good because they don't have Byron Jones, like, those are factors that very quickly get ignored. Like, it's weird to me how in the NFL we often don't talk enough about injuries, considering how big, like, the whole thing is predicated on
just talking about quarterbacks.
We analyze it all, and every analysis gets undone, not just by health, but health that you might not necessarily know about because somebody's 60% healthy instead of 100% healthy, and they happen to be out there even though they shouldn't be.
After you get through weeks 5 through 12, you get to 13 on, they have the 5th hardest schedule in the NFL.
Oh, wow.
So once you get to the high, then you get back into like things are getting rocky headed into the playoffs. What are they going to do?
We've constructed the entire arc of the Dolphins season. I didn't feel like I have to watch it anymore.
This is why he's rising in the rankings
Super Bowl
to 5th insider internationally, according to The Guardian.
I have good people feeding me.
Because
Samson's 9.
I mean, so actually, it's more like weeks 13 to 15 because it's at 49ers, at Chargers,
at Buffalo,
home Green Bay.
Oof.
But then you close with the Patriots and the Jets.
Yes.
Christmas Day, Green Bay and Dolphins is going to be a big. I don't think I'm going to watch NBA that day.
That's a Dolphins home game, by the way.
Yeah, I know.
So like they're going to be asking people to go out to the stadium on Christmas Day.
Jessica, why are you making faces?
It'll be 68 degrees
on Christmas. Why? Dolphins Packers?
Yeah. Why? It's a great game.
Weird game.
By the way, on the subject of making faces for primetime games, the opening Monday Night Football game of the season. Do you know what it is?
No.
Broncos Seahawks.
Revenge.
Revenge. I know
it's a great game. What do you mean? Geno Smith.
That's a big game. You can say it's a Russell Wilson revenge game, or you can say it's Geno Smith starting in prime time.
Drew Lock revenge game.
Like, if you look at the 4:00 window, the first weekend of the year, there's 3 games you'd rather have on Monday Night Football than Seahawks, Broncos.
Name them.
Raiders, Chargers,
Yeah.
Chiefs, Cardinals,
Right.
Packers, Vikings.
You're right.
I would rather watch all of those games than Broncos, Seahawks. Like
Billy-
Monday Night Football, I think I'm going to be sort of in and out.
We're doing the show over here. Why are you asking Lewis why for something that he's not saying at the microphone?
Well, because we were talking about it's a revenge game, and it's actually a double revenge game. And then Lewis just goes, "Drew Lock's my cousin's fiance," and I just go, "What? Why?" Because I don't believe that to be the case.
You
You have proof. Okay.
I feel, and you tell me if I don't know who's gotten to know Lewis best back there. It's probably Tony, but Jessica and Billy might have a shot at this. You guys tell me whether Lewis's distinctly Miami family sprawls so that no matter where it is you look, there's always a cousin whose fiance is Drew Lock because it's a sprawling family.
He told me a month ago, "Hey, I just found out we're related." I go, "No, the we're not. We're not related."
Lewis and Billy are related, according to Lewis.
According to Lewis.
Right. Well, I feel like we should replace the 7 degrees of Kevin Bacon game with the 7 degrees of Lewis Montejo.
It's not just Lewis, though. There are a million people in Miami like him.
Yes,
where-
6 degrees, by the way.
Everyone's
6
absolutely.
degrees. Yeah,
Everyone's
6
got a
degrees.
cousin's fiance that's related to someone who plays in the NFL.
That's engaged to Drew Lock, apparently. How would that even, just if we're going to entertain? Let's not, actually.
Yeah,
No,
thank you,
no.
Billy.
It's not entertaining.
Wow, Billy.
Holy shit,
Exercising
Billy.
judgment.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Learning has been done.
Big day.
There is something that has been learned. It's taken 14 years. And the self-awareness to know, you know what? I need to not pass the ball back to that corner again. Dan's been
It's
back
what I'm going to be doing in the breaks, but
Dan's been back from vacation for a day. I need to not keep throwing it into that corner where the microphones are not on. We were just talking about the Dolphins. I'm not saying your place isn't the better place to go because I wanted to go visit the cousin who's engaged to Drew Lock as well.
I'm trying to figure out where that connection would have been made, like how this happened.
The problem is you've gotten Lewis and Tony too comfortable in that corner. And so what happens is they're shouting throughout the show. I can't hear anything except what comes on a stray microphone when someone else is talking. And so when you say, I'm listening to Whittingham, and you're roaring with laughter and saying what to Lewis, and I have to go to Lewis, and I don't want to go to Lewis.
How am I supposed to react when he says my cousin is related to or is engaged to Drew Lock?
Right.
It's like, how? That doesn't seem
It's
possible.
big news, right? You have to react to it. You have to respond.
really not that. It's
big
not
news.
that
It is
interesting.
What do you mean? He's related to an
It's
NFL
not.
quarterback.
No,
I mean,
revenge game.
No, he's not.
Do you imagine Lewis with Thanksgiving with Drew Lock? I don't think so. I don't think they're at the same Thanksgiving gathering.
in Westchester.
Why not? Why wouldn't they be at the same Thanksgiving?
I mean, it's a lot of degrees of separation.
No,
before you end up-
cousin's fiance. They're basically look. Cuban cousins are basically siblings, right? So Drew Lock is essentially going to be Lewis's brother-in-law at some point, potentially.
Can we also discuss this?
He's married to Natalie Newman.
Wait, he's married?
That's your cousin?
Well, then they're not engaged. Now this story's falling
The story
apart.
really is falling
Now
apart.
this is
All it
falling
took
apart.
When was
was
the
the
wedding?
internet.
Well, hold on. Now he's saying they're not married. Well, maybe they got married. They didn't invite
They're
you.
engaged. They are.
Okay, here's the
okay. Oh, that's a fine then, Stugotz.
Here's the question.
He said
Yeah.
married.
What's going to happen
engaged.
first? Drew Lock is going to be named the starting quarterback, or he's going to be Lewis's cousin.
Also, cousin is by far the worst familial designation. It's useless. It's a useless term.
Useless.
Your cousin can be 1 year old or 99 years old, and it's the same word. It means nothing.
I wonder, Billy, whether that's true culturally for us, because I think this might be different according to
My
cultures.
cousins are like my brothers.
In
Same with my first cousins, TBH Witty. Like my first cousins once removed, like very close family. My first cousins twice removed.
Right.
Or I guess they'd be second cousins twice removed. I'm not
Yes.
exactly sure. But
So-
they're like a generation older, but like they're like my aunts and uncles.
I am also very tight with my cousins as well. That's not to say that I'm not, but for me, it doesn't like offer anything in terms of separating who like. So,
it's tepid. It's a
right.
tepid
It's a friend.
designation.
It's a friend.
Right, like your mom's, your mom's cousin. What is that to you? It's your cousin. What's your like degrees of separation don't actually offer anything.
You're saying it's the worst one. You're saying cousin is the worst of all.
So
worse than nephew, worse than aunt, worse than like any of the brother-in-law.
If I say grandfather, I know that I'm dealing with someone who's probably in their 70s. If I say cousin, who am I dealing with? Am I dealing with a kid? Am I dealing with an old adult? Like, is it
First
a cousin's
cousin, second cousin,
Is it a cousin's
third
father?
Third
Is it a cousin's son? Like, it's all cousin. It doesn't offer enough.
All right,
How much
Larry
prep?
David.
Yeah, how much prep do you do going into like talking to family members?
It just, for me, it's like, what do I call
You're
this
saying
person?
it's too ambiguous
Yes,
of a term.
Well, you
Far
just,
too ambiguous.
I get what you're saying.
hold on a second. I never call my cousin cousin. You just call them by their name.
You don't
Okay,
say primo?
No. I go, hey, what's up, George?
Cuz.
But when Lewis comes here talking about his cousin is married to
he's
Drew
full of
Lock,
shit.
or is engaged to Drew Lock, like, I don't know, like, what does that even mean? Like, is that...
Show him.
Engaged to Drew Lock.
Show him.
It is an awfully lame name drop.
Yeah.
Well, my cousin's not engaged to any NFL
It's
quarterback.
like Reese Davis saying he was on the phone with Kevin Warren, and Dan was like, "Oh, name drop." I'm like, not really.
DeMarcus Cousins, Roy, is where us.
Boogie.
Oh,
Boogie would have been good.
Daryl Cousins.
No, cousin. Kirk cousin, yeah.
athletes that connote familial designations.
Tony Brothers.
Hey.
Oh wow, Sister Jean.